What if the very survival of life on our planet was at stake? It is. Welcome to the reality of climate change. We're not talking about distant, abstract scenarios. We're talking about the here and now. The evidence is irrefutable and the scientific consensus is clear. Our planet is warming and it's largely due to human activities. Let's break it down. The main culprits? Burning fossil fuels and deforestation. These actions release massive amounts of greenhouse gases into our atmosphere. Over time, these gases have built up, acting like a blanket that traps heat, causing our planet's temperature to rise. This process, known as global warming, is driving the broader changes to our climate that we're witnessing today. And the impacts? They're already here and they're severe. Picture this. Extreme weather events are becoming the norm, not the exception. Heat waves scorching our cities, droughts drying up our farmlands, wildfires ravaging our forests, floods inundating our towns, and storms battering our coasts, all becoming more frequent and intense. But it doesn't stop there. Sea levels are rising, threatening to submerge coastal communities and even entire nations. Glaciers are melting at an unprecedented rate, disrupting ecosystems and the water supplies they provide. And let's not forget, biodiversity is plummeting. We're losing species at a rate not seen since the extinction of the dinosaurs, all because their habitats are being destroyed and they can't adapt quickly enough. This is the reality of climate change. It's not a distant threat looming over future generations. No, it's happening right here, right now, and it's accelerating. The climate crisis is not just about the environment, it's about our homes, our livelihoods, our communities, our health, and our very survival. So let me leave you with this. The climate crisis is not a distant threat. It's here, it's now, and it's accelerating. It's time we face this reality head-on. In the next scene, we'll explore the consequences of inaction. Stay tuned. But what if we do nothing? What if we continue on our current path? Imagine a world where extreme weather events become the norm. Heat waves scorching our cities, droughts parching our lands, wildfires ravaging our forests, floods submerging our towns, and storms wreaking havoc on our communities. This could be our reality if we fail to take action on climate change. Sea levels are on the rise, threatening to swallow coastal communities whole. Entire nations living on small islands are at risk of being wiped off the map. Meanwhile, our glaciers, the world's water towers, are melting at an alarming rate. This not only disrupts ecosystems, but also jeopardizes water supplies for billions of people. And let's not forget about the rich tapestry of life we share this planet with. Biodiversity is plummeting as habitats are destroyed, and species struggle to adapt to rapidly changing conditions. We're not just losing beautiful creatures, we're unraveling the web of life that supports us all. But the consequences of climate inaction don't stop at environmental degradation. Climate change is a threat multiplier. It worsens existing societal issues like food and water scarcity, poverty, disease, and conflict. As resources dwindle, tensions rise. Mass migration could become a new norm as people are forced to flee their homes due to climate-induced hardships. Unchecked, the climate crisis could render vast parts of the planet uninhabitable. We could witness the collapse of the very ecological systems our civilization depends on. The cost of inaction, potentially an uninhabitable world. So, what happens if we continue on our current path? We face a world of escalating crises, a world of loss and hardship. Climate change isn't just about warmer weather. It's about the survival of our species and countless others. It's about the kind of world we're leaving for future generations. Let's be clear. The science is unequivocal. The evidence is overwhelming. The window of opportunity is quickly closing. We can't afford to wait. We can't afford to be complacent. Inaction is not an option. The cost is simply too high. So what must we do? And how urgently must we act? The answer is simple yet monumental. We need to drastically cut greenhouse gas emissions and transition to renewable energy sources. The task at hand is far from trivial, but the alternative is unthinkable. We have seen the devastating impacts of climate change, and they will only intensify if we continue on our current path. The scientific consensus is clear. We need to become carbon neutral by the year 2050. This means that we must balance the amount of carbon we release into the atmosphere with the amount we can remove. Achieving this will require a monumental shift in our energy systems, moving away from fossil fuels and embracing renewable energy sources like solar and wind power. But time is of the essence. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change warns that we have less than a decade to make substantial changes if we are to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. This is the threshold beyond which the most catastrophic impacts of climate change become likely. We need to act now. Every day, week, month, and year that passes without substantial progress is a lost opportunity. The longer we wait to transition to clean energy, the more carbon dioxide accumulates in the atmosphere, and the more difficult and costly it will be to mitigate the impacts of climate change. This urgency is not just about avoiding disaster. It's also about seizing the opportunities that a transition to a low-carbon economy offers. Renewable energy, for instance, is not only cleaner but also increasingly more cost-effective than fossil fuels. Moreover, the shift towards a green economy can drive technological innovation, create jobs, and lead to healthier, more sustainable communities. But these benefits won't materialize overnight. They require a sustained commitment to change, beginning today. From governments to businesses to individuals, we all have a role to play in this global effort. The clock is ticking. We must act now if we want a chance at a livable future. How can we turn this around? What does the path forward look like? The road to a sustainable future begins with transformation across all sectors of society. From energy and transportation to agriculture and industry, the changes we need are significant, but they're not impossible. Let's start with energy. We need to rapidly transition from fossil fuels to renewable sources like solar and wind. The technology exists, and it's improving every day. It's not just about generating clean energy, but also improving our energy efficiency. Next, we look at transportation. We need to shift from gas-guzzling cars to electric vehicles and promote public transit, cycling, and walking. We need to make our cities more sustainable, with green spaces that absorb carbon and promote biodiversity. In agriculture, we need to rethink our food systems. We need to shift towards more sustainable farming practices that not only reduce emissions, but also increase resilience to climate shocks. This means less meat and dairy, more plant-based foods, and better management of our soils and forests. Industry, too, has a part to play. We need to develop and adopt clean technologies that minimize waste and maximize efficiency. We need to rethink how we design, manufacture, and dispose of our products, moving towards a circular economy that values reuse and recycling. But these changes aren't just up to governments and corporations. Communities and individuals also have a crucial role to play. Whether it's by voting with your wallet, reducing your carbon footprint, or advocating for policy change, every action matters. And here's the thing, these changes aren't just good for the planet, they're good for us. They can lead to cleaner air, healthier diets, more livable cities, and new economic opportunities. But the window of opportunity is closing fast. We need to make these changes now while we still have time. We have the tools, we have the solutions. What we need now is the will to implement them. The path forward is clear, let's start walking. But this isn't just about survival, it's also about opportunity. Embracing a low-carbon world doesn't merely mean averting disaster. It also presents a treasure trove of opportunities. Think about it. The transition to renewable energy sources like wind and solar doesn't just reduce greenhouse gases. It also fuels economic growth and job creation, sparking a new wave of innovation and entrepreneurship. Imagine cities designed for sustainability, where clean public transport, energy-efficient buildings, and green spaces not only reduce emissions, but also improve air quality and public health. Picture an agricultural sector that not only feeds us, but also regenerates the land and combats climate change. And let's not forget the social benefits. From poverty reduction to improved education, the ripple effects of a low-carbon world are profound. So let's not view this transition as a burden. This is our chance to create a healthier, wealthier, and more equitable world. The transition to a sustainable future isn't just necessary, it's advantageous. The future of our planet hangs in the balance, but we have the power to tip the scales. It's not just about governments or corporations making changes, it's about all of us. You, me, our friends, our families. We all have a part to play in this global mission. From the switches we flip, to the food we eat, to the way we travel, our everyday choices can make a difference. We can support renewable energy, reduce waste, plant trees, and vote for leaders who prioritize the environment. We can educate ourselves and others about the climate crisis and push for systemic changes. We can innovate, create, and inspire. Together, we can transform our world into one that thrives, not just survives. This is our call to action, our rallying cry, a plea for the sake of our home, the Earth. The time to act is now. The future of our planet depends on it.